Here we have the serger with the thread stand on the back pulled all the way up. We have the 4 cones of thread, a pair of shears, and also a pair of extra long tweezers, so you'll need those supplies as well. Okay, one more thing I just remembered when getting ready to thread the serger is that the presser foot here, this always has to be up when you are threading it. So before you start, if you'll make sure that your presser foot is up. If it was down, then the problem is here with these dials is that the thread wouldn't go through the tension discs. And so whenever you are finished threading and get ready to serge, it would not work. So that is one key thing, is make sure your presser foot is up. Okay, on the front of the machine, it has a door here that you can slide to the right side and then pull it down. Once you pull that door down, you'll notice it has a threading diagram to help make the threading easier. It's color coordinated to help make sure that you are putting the thread through all the correct dials and hooks. You'll also notice that it's numbered 1 through 4. Threading it in this direction, I've experienced it's difficult to do with students, so we are going to go backwards. We're going to start with thread 4 and then do 3, 2, 1. Also on the machine, all of the hooks where the thread is going to go through, as well as the dials, they're all color coordinated as well, so you can put them through the appropriate place. Okay, so we are going to start with number 4 on this diagram. That is going to be the yellow color. So if you have cones that have different amounts of thread on them, you're going to start with the 2 cones that have the least amount of thread. So for me, it would be these 2 cones here. You're going to put the first cone on this first stand that is on the far left side. Next thing we're going to do is get the end of our thread, and it is going to go through these 2 holes up here on the white bar. There is a closed hole and an open hole for every thread. The thread is going to always go through the closed hole first, and it's going to go from the back of the machine to the front. And then we are going to go through the open hole, and our thread is going from the front to the back. Okay. So now we are going to go down to this metal bar. We are following this yellow peach colored dot. Again, you have 2 holes for every thread. We're going to start with the hole on the left side. Thread goes top to bottom. And then we'll pull our thread up. And on the right hole, thread is going to go top to bottom again. Okay, so now for this dial, the thread is going to go underneath here. Now the thread on all of our dials, we want to make sure it's not only bypassing it, but the thread is pulled all the way up. So in addition to holding the thread here where I'm threading the serger, I'm also going to hold this thread and I'm just going to pull up, and that'll make sure that the thread is all the way inside that dial. So next thing to do is going to be this bar here, following that next colored dot. And then one more thing right here, this hook, the thread is going to go in the center and then slide to the left. And then we can leave our thread hanging off the side of the serger for now. Okay, second cone, we are going to put it on our next guide here in the back. Again, on this white bar, the thread is going through the closed hole first from the back to the front. And then through the open hole, front to back. Okay. So now it's going to go to the metal bar. And just like last time, we are going to do the left hole first. Thread is going top to bottom. Then we pick our thread up and we put the thread through the right hole, top to bottom again. Okay. Now it's going to go around our blue dial. Pull on your thread, make sure it goes all the way inside that dial. And I'm doing it with one hand, but you can do it with 2 hands when you pull the thread. Okay. After the dial, then we have this large metal guide here with the blue dot. The thread is going to go underneath that guide. And then it's following the same last 2 steps as the last thread. It's going to come behind this white bar. And then it's going to come in the center of these 2 hooks, and it's going to go across, there we go, across the right one. Pull it so it goes all the way through that hook, and then you can leave your thread hanging to the side again. Okay, third thread, we are going to get our next cone of thread. put it on the next thread stand back here. White bar. Okay, white bar, we are going to put the thread from the closed hole first. The thread is going to go from the back to the front. Okay, thread is going from the back to the front. And then open hole, thread goes backwards, front to back. On the metal guide, thread is going through the left hole first, top to bottom. Bring your thread back up, thread goes top to bottom on the right hole. Okay, now following down to our next red dot is this hook here. We're going to put our thread in the middle and slide it to the left. Then we have our red dial. Thread goes underneath the dial. Pull on your thread on both sides. Make sure it really goes inside of that dial. I'm going to pull on my thread so that way it's not loose right here. Make it tight. Then after the dial, the thread's going to fall behind this hook that's right next to it. Now we're going to come down here to where our diagram is. We have one more hook with the red dot. Thread goes behind that hook. And then there is a second hook with the red dot. Thread is going to go underneath that hook and pull up. Okay. And now for our upper looper, that is the part where this thread is going to be threaded. Let me get the tweezers to show you here. The thread is going to come behind this wire here. And then after it comes behind that wire, it's going to go through the hole that is up here on this upper looper. So you might not be able to see it in the same position as what I'm showing on the video. If that's the case, the hand wheel on the side of the machine, which is a large white wheel, you're going to turn it towards you. And then you can move this upper looper here, and you can move it into the position that is best suited for you to be able to thread it. So I would just like to make sure that the needles aren't in the way there. So that way when I put my thread through, there's nothing blocking the thread. All right, thread's going behind this wire. Okay, thread behind that wire, pull it all the way to the left to make sure it comes all the way to the side. And then it's gonna go through this hole on our upper looper. Okay, after it goes through there, this is where I use the tweezers to pull the thread to the back of the machine there. And then I just sweep it across to the left side, making sure that it is underneath this presser foot. It's not caught on top of the presser foot, especially back here. That's where it normally gets caught. Okay, and now we are going to thread our fourth thread. So it's going to come back here on the stand, and we'll take it, slide this over here. Okay, to this white bar, thread's going from the back to the front on the closed hole first, then to the back, front to back on this open hole. Coming down here to our metal bar. Okay, coming down here to our metal bar, thread goes top to bottom on left hole and then top to bottom on the right hole. Okay, it's going to go behind this hook. Wrap it underneath the dial. Make sure you pull on your thread there so it goes all the way inside of it. Comes behind the hook right next to the dial, and then we have 3 more parts down here next to our diagram to thread. So it comes behind that hook, and then we have these 2 circles here. Yours might be in a different position depending on the hand wheel. So if yours don't look like this, you can move it so that it is in a way that is easy for you to thread. Okay, so now we have these 3 green parts threaded. Now what we are going to do is open up this side door of the serger. And what I normally do is get the thread with one hand, and then I pass it underneath this mechanism. Again, make sure that your machine is off. And then with my other hand, I'll pull it out this side here. Okay, so I just couldn't do that with one hand, but now you can see the thread is on this side of the serger. You have this metal bar that comes across. You want to make sure that your thread is on top of that bar, and also make sure that it's not like getting stuck on one of these dials or other metal pieces. So there are going to be two items on this side that you're going to thread the serger with. I'm going to turn the hand wheel because you can't see them yet. You might not be able to see yours, so you could turn your hand wheel so that you can see them, and that's better there. Okay, so this first one is this hook, and it has a green piece of tape on the top. The second one is this circle up here. Let me turn the wheel so it comes forward a little bit more. Right there. So the thread's going to go through that circle. Okay, so first thing for this hook back here, what I'm going to do is hold my thread tight, and I'm going to put my thread right at the bottom. Let's focus right there, right at the bottom of that hook, and then pull up, and it'll click. There we go, and now it's inside of that hook. Okay, so now for the circle here, I'm going to turn the wheel and make it come as forward as possible. The thread is going to go through that circle, and then once it is in there, I kind of push to make more thread go in there, just so that way it doesn't get unthreaded. So what we are going to do is get the tweezers, hold on to the piece of thread that already went through this metal piece, and then like I said, we're going to keep this point of the tweezers, making sure that you hold the tweezers from the bottom. Keep the point of the tweezers here against this metal piece, and then you want to keep touching it with the tweezers. You're going to move the tweezers with this metal piece as you turn the hand wheel. And as that piece moves, I'm moving the tweezers with it. And so then I can turn the serger to the front here. So as that piece came to the front, there are my tweezers right here. What I'm going to do is grab the thread off of the tweezers. You can let go of the tweezers then and pull your thread through. Okay, so now after your thread comes to the front here, you still have one more thing, and that is to put it through this tiny hole here that is on your bottom looper. So right now this bar is kind of in the way behind it, so I'm going to hold on to this thread, and I'm going to turn the hand wheel some more, just so that way, there we go, there's nothing behind that hole. Okay, thread's going to go through the hole on the lower looper and then to the back of the machine. So after the thread went through this hole on the lower looper, the thread's going to go to the back of the machine here. And so we have our two threads over here that are going to go into our needles. We're going to pick those two threads up, and then we're going to pick up the other threads that were our loopers, and you can move them all to the left side of the machine here. Okay, so once you have them all up, we can close the side door of the serger. Okay, and so the last thing we have to do, let me put these here, is these threads are going to come behind this hook that is right on top of the needle. So I'm going to put the right one through first and then the left one. So I'm keeping the threads in the same order that they were coming from the dials up here. And this thread on the right is going to go through the needle on the right. All right, now we're going to take our thread on the left. This one's going to go through the needle on the left. Our last one. Push the thread back through that needle a little bit more. Make sure that after you put the threads through the needles that you have this bar, the back of the presser foot. Let me pick this up a little bit so you can see. It's this piece here. Make sure the threads aren't laying on top of it. If they are, you want to slide them underneath that part of the presser foot. And so now you can see all four threads are over here to the side of the machine. You're going to keep them like that. Then you can go ahead and close this front door of your serger. We are also going to put our presser foot down. And then before you start to serge, it's always a good idea on your hand wheel to turn it one time so your needles go down and up again. In case there's any metal pieces that moved and they're gonna hit, you would hear it right now. It's better for it to be a gentle hit so we can see what's happening instead of stepping on the foot pedal and it being a loud hit. So now we know everything is good with our needles going down and up again. We're gonna turn our machine on and then start to serge, and we'll see it start to form loops.